It's Reedy here. Welcome to FPL Addicts Game Week 14 podcast. I'm here with Dinesh, also known as FPL TT, and we're going to talk about today's Game Week 14 preview, look at the review for Game Week 13, and let's dive in. So, fantasy managers, welcome to the Game Week 14 FPL Addicts preview podcast sponsored by Bonus Bank. If you're new around here, make sure you give our podcast or video some love with a like and a rating or review, as well as a subscription. So, without further ado, good morning, mate.
Good morning. How you doing? It's good to be back. I didn't think I'll be back so soon, but here we are.
That's the one. I think that's the thing. Last time you did it with obviously Rev, with Mikey, he told me that really enjoyed chatting to you and stuff. And obviously I know you from speaking
exactly
to you off screen as well. I know how much of a cool guy you are. And I mean, the background says it all, anyway. So you've got some Pokemon in the background there with some Nikes as well. I mean, that's how fresh this guy is, people. But yeah. So Game Week 14 is upon us. Game Week 13 was, I don't know, a little bit maybe underwhelming or whatever. But, we move now because we've got a lot of games coming up or a lot of game weeks coming up. So we'll kind of discuss a few things on that. And we'll just have a quick look, I suppose, at Game Week 13. Review that, just a few of the scores and so on. I'll go through that, mate. What are you thinking?
Yeah, sounds good. Hopefully not dwell on 13 too much because that was an absolute stinker. So
yeah, it wasn't the best, and I think it's obviously been tricky at the minute. There's so many injuries still, so it's never ideal. But there's more headaches to come, obviously. Anyway, so yeah, let's have a look. So basically, Game Week 13. Let's have a look. Here we go. Let me know if you can see that. I'll just add it up. And there we go. We've got the scores. The big one, obviously, was the early kickoff. We had Man City v Liverpool, didn't we? The 12:30 kickoff after the international break, mate. And what did you think? Any good? Any good of a game? I mean, I know the results, obviously 1-1 is a bit boring, but Haaland doing the usual. And
yeah, it was. I didn't actually get a chance to catch the game, but I did watch the highlights on Match of the Day, and it looked like quite a tactical game. I think Liverpool probably came in with the mindset that they knew if you played your normal style and kind of like the games that we've seen of old with City and Liverpool, this would have probably been a much bigger scoreline. So I quite liked the way Liverpool approached the game. I think, City got the early goal, but I think Liverpool did well to kind of stay in the game, and then obviously Trent took his chance when it came. So I think that's a really good result to come away with a point. And very much in the title race. I think it's I think City will feel like they've dropped 2 points there. I heard there was a little penalty shout for Ruben Diaz.
I
mean, you take it.
That's it, isn't it? I think like, especially with City's record at home, obviously it's a difficult place to go, even though they do seem to have a number of seats missing every home game for some reason. Don't fill out the stadium, but yeah, I mean, I'll take that, especially as a Liverpool fan. I mean, Trent's goal was awesome, and we get a 1-1 result. So yeah, but going into the other games, because in terms of results and so on, there was some absolutely great results. West Ham were fought. I mean, won't dwell on that too much, but I mean, in terms of their game against Burnley, I think people, probably expected a comfortable win for them, but they only just sneaked it at the end, didn't they? Getting a 2-1 win. Luton, huge result for Luton, right? 2-1 against Palace.
First home win of the season. So shout out to Luton, man. That's a great result.
Yeah. I think they've beat Everton as well this season. They've obviously not had many wins, but great result for them. And I mean, straight on to the one that we want to talk about, really, and that's Newcastle, Chelsea, mate. You as a Newcastle fan, obviously, must have been absolutely buzzing with that. And yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, I think going into that game, like Chelsea were coming off the back of some really good results. They'd obviously beaten Spurs at Spurs, and the 4-4 against City, I was very much expecting like a tough game. But I think first half we looked like we were in control. I know Chelsea were kind of they got that equaliser. It was a brilliant finish from Sterling. They had good moments on the counter attack as well. But yeah, I think the 2 goals in the second half really killed it back to back. Scored 2 goals in a minute. Thiago Silva really threw it away there for them. So that kind of took the game away from Chelsea. And then of course Reece James coming up with the red card as well. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah. It's not ideal for people who tried to kind of maybe bring him in now that he's actually fit and it looks like he's going to be playing the games, and people who brought him in have been really unlucky. I mean, it seems to be the story of Reece James sort of basically FPL managers, FPL owners, that's the way it's been, hasn't it? He's not had a consistent haul for a while anyway. So
the irony this time last year, I think this is where he got the 18-pointer where he scored 2 goals at St James's Park. So to come with the -3, that's the Reece James roulette wheel of points, I think. So yeah, brilliant result considering all the injuries. I couldn't be happier with that result.
Amazing. I think anyone who still had Anthony Gordon, FPL wise, absolutely brilliant. Got his haul. My love-hate relationship with that guy. I say love, it is more hate, but obviously I brought him in, I think was for the Bournemouth game, he blanks, and then I took him out because I was just like, I can't stand this guy, and then he turns around and bites me. So I deserve every bit of that, to be honest. But yeah, looking at some of the games, I mean, Brighton been a bit hit and miss. There's so many different injuries with them. The team looks so much different to last year. So for them to get, I think, a 3-2 win against Forest is actually probably a good result for them.
Really good result. Forest, I think people now have to kind of treat Forest as a mid-table team. They've really established themselves now in the Premier League. So to go away to Forest and to get a result, I think that's a really good 3 points for Brighton. I think there's a stat that Brighton haven't kept a clean sheet in like 17 games now, something ridiculous. But they're scoring goals for fun, so I think that's what's getting them through.
Yeah, and as you say, Forest at home and nothing to be kind of messed with really in terms of the home record. That they're really good. They always put in a strong performance, and Brighton getting the win there, I mean, is probably down to João Pedro more than anything, who some people have owned since game week 1 and still have him. So fair play if you got his points, respect to that. But yeah, so Brighton got a win. Bournemouth against Sheffield United, I don't think people expected any less. Maybe they did expect the Solanke, return or haul, and that didn't come. And
Solanke has been gutted, right? There's 3 goals and no goal involvement there. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think, I mean, not that many people would have brought him in specifically for this because Bournemouth's run isn't obviously great. But anyone who wanted to maybe take a point, whether they had 2 free transfers and they just thought, rather than the burning, I'll go for Solanke. That could have been the case. But yeah, Arsenal 1-0 win against Brentford. Would you say lucky, or do you think they deserve that win?
I think these are the kind of wins you look back on and think, yeah, that was a huge 3 points. Like, if knowing that you didn't play your best and then to come away and with the win, especially at Brentford, like Brentford are so good at home. That game could have gone either way. And Kai Havertz pops up at the end with the winner. So nice little celebration.
Yeah. So Arsenal went top of the league with obviously the earlier result with City and Liverpool, which did them loads of favours, and they'll be really happy they managed to get that 1-0 win at the end. Doesn't matter how. And the main thing is they went top of the table. So fair play. Going on to Sundays and Monday fixture, I mean, Villa against Spurs, probably a surprise result, given that we say that Villa's away performances haven't been as good as their home ones. And probably a really sort of, I say under par Spurs performance, but they did have chances, and majority of them were offside, actually, weren't they? I think
for the first 60 minutes, Spurs were brilliant. They were really attacking, really creative. They just couldn't quite click to get that goal. And then fair play to Villa, man. They came and did their thing, and they absolutely punished Spurs. I think they took their chances. So that's a huge win.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Go on. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, I think I said to you earlier, Reedy, that earlier in the season that Villa are one to be reckoned with, and here they are. They're right up there. I think they're only 2 points behind now. The likes of City and Arsenal. So they're going to be right in the mix for Champions League this season. And 2 huge games. Speak of the devil, they're playing both, I think, in the next couple of fixtures. So they've got some big fixtures around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, Emery's been great for them, and I think from an attacking point of view, most certainly. Defensively, obviously, I don't think they're quite there yet. They've got some really, really good centre backs if they can keep them all fit. But them getting that win with Spurs not taking their chances and being a bit unlucky with these offsides, obviously, you need that. You need that in football, and they've managed to get the 3 points. So fair play to them, and they are right up there, as you say. So we'll see how that pans out. With the next couple of games being tough for Villa. Everton, Man United, did we expect anything less than a United win?
To be fair, I thought Everton would be a little bit better at home, but fair play to United. That was a very Man United performance of old. They kind of took control of the game, and they put their chances away. That Garnacho goal, I think it's going to be very hard to beat that. Absolutely ridiculous. Probably one of the best goals I've ever seen.
Yeah. Unbelievable first, sort of, the first goal of the game. What an opening goal to kind of, And it
was very early on, right? I think it was only a few minutes.
Yeah, extremely early. Yeah, set the tone of the game. But I mean, Everton did have chances.
They did have chances. Yeah, they probably should have scored. To be fair,
the result probably doesn't reflect the game, and the likes of Bruno Fernandes giving away his penalty to Rashford, just to stick the knife in even more to people who own him in FPL. So, United win, comfortable. They're still kind of up there, and people haven't really noticed them. They've been ticking away.
I think that's the 3rd clean sheet in a row now for United. So fair play. They're ticking along. And
then we had a Monday night game of what we'll say is not maybe the highest caliber, but a Fulham v Wolves. Cold, rainy night. I don't even know if it was raining, to be honest. I did watch some of it, but at Craven Cottage. And it's an absolute, thriller. 3-2. Fulham just getting 3 goals. I mean, I know they concede a lot this season, and me and you have owned Leno quite a bit. We've probably gone with Areola most times anyway, because West Ham's fixtures have fallen better. I mean, that's not meant anything though, because West Ham's defense is awful as well. But that game just. I mean, Willian, was it 2 penalties and
2 penalties? Yeah.
It was a mad result really for a Monday, but we won't talk about that one too much because we don't really care about that one too much. If we're honest.
I went into that game praying for Leno to save me. That kind of went pear-shaped. So
Wolves scored the first goal. Well, wait there. No, Fulham scored the first goal.
Yeah, Fulham scored first.
1-1, right?
Yeah.
And
so I do want to talk about Hwang quickly, just because.
Go for it.
I think he's really emerging now as a great option. I'm definitely thinking about it.
Really? Wow.
In week 15, he's got juicy fixture against Burnley at home, and I think he's got Forest at home after that. So, yeah, he's one to keep an eye on. He's absolutely nailed. Now we know he's on penalties too.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you for that one. He has sort of been almost in Neto's absence, someone who's ticked over nicely if you've owned him. I mean, it's been probably tricky to, whether to start him or not, because there's so many good options that we have in FPL in midfield. But yeah, you've certainly got a point, mate. But yeah, so that's the the preview of last week's games. Normally on the podcast, we have a look at the mini leagues, public and the women's league and so on. We're not going to do that this week, but we will come back to that next week when Mikey's back and potentially Chazza. But what we, I suppose, will do, well, I suppose what I'll do is just give a quick shout out to Bonus Bank, as I always do. They're our sponsor for this season. So basically, Australia and New Zealand's best side hustle, where you can make a guaranteed profit from bookmakers by taking advantage of their promotional offers. So Bonus Bank is easy to learn tutorials, software that does the hard work for you. It's free to sign up, but you can also upgrade to a premium membership, if you wish to do so, which gives you access to more tools and software, which will increase your profits. There is a code that you can use. I'll put the link down here or the caption below. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. Now, going into this week's fixtures, game week 14. So I'll just bring those up, and we can talk about obviously which fixtures we think are the nicest fixtures, and obviously in terms of FPL, we can look at what we think might be the best players, whether it be attackers, defenders, and so on. I mean, last week, what we can say, obviously, TT, is that it was the hardest from a defensive point of view to pick defenders in the game. It's been the hardest so far this season, right?
Yeah, I think defenders are proving to be a real tricky position to nail this season. Yeah. Just the amount of injuries that I think we're seeing across the defense in general is what's kind of making things harder on our side. So I know this week a lot of people are potentially looking at playing Charlie Taylor, who's got the home fixture against Sheffield United. So it's one of those where I think we're really having to utilize our squads now, and having a squad is becoming even more important given the Christmas schedule that we've got coming up. And the turnaround now, we've got 3 game weeks in a week, which is great for FPL and football, but at the same time, injuries, rotation, like all these things will come into play. So like we said, having a squad more than ever is just really important now.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better, mate. And I think coming up to this period now, where there's so many games and the amount of injuries we've already had, I think it just makes it even trickier from a defensive point of view. I feel like there's one obvious defensive, I suppose, team to go with and maybe even double up on. And I suppose that leads us to the first game of the weekend, really, and that's Arsenal Wolves. Now, I own an Arsenal defender. I think it's only just the first time I've started owning one. I mean, why I've not owned one previously is ridiculous, to be fair. But Arsenal Wolves, what do we think on that one in terms of, do we think Arsenal is a comfortable win? And do we think that, who are the Arsenal defenders to own in FPL?
I mean, you always fancy Arsenal at home, right? Their home record is really, really good. Like the Emirates is a bit of a fortress, but I think this is a really tough game for Arsenal. And I think Arteta will be very aware that Wolves can be a dangerous team on the counter-attack. This is exactly the kind of game I think Wolves will be looking to kind of make the most of. They might not have much going in terms of the ball in terms of this game. Like, you expect Arsenal to control and dominate the game, but they've got some very dangerous players on the counter. And I have a lot of respect for Gary O'Neill. He's a really pragmatic manager. He'll come into this game with the mindset that if Wolves can stay in the game for as long as possible, if they can sneak a couple chances on the counter, they've got the players to do it. Hwang, Cunha, they've got some good ball carriers in the team. So I'm actually really looking forward to watching this game. I think tactically, I'm very interested to see how Wolves will set up, and if Arsenal will kind of go with the attacking eights. If he'll continue with Havertz and Trossard, he might just go with that front six, kind of with Odegaard now back fit. Jesus is in the team. I think those injuries that those players that Arsenal have got back from injury now should really help them. And we know Arsenal have they're not been up to their heights in terms of creating chances and scoring goals. And that midweek result against Lens would have really helped their confidence. I think that was a really good win for them, that 6-0, really showed that team is back together now. So yeah, I'm really excited for that game. For me, I think that's right up there as one of the best fixtures for the weekend. And we'll get onto one later on Sunday, but I don't think it'll be as straightforward as maybe we think for Arsenal. So I'll probably go for like a 2-1 or something.
Yeah, 2-1. I mean, so we're not high on sort of Arsenal keeping it clean. Then do we not think it's worth doubling up on Arsenal defense at the moment, especially with them playing? I think it's Luton next week. Do we not think it's worth that move, or at least probably minimum one Arsenal defender? But do you think?
I think minimum one for sure. I am not against doubling up on them just because Arsenal will always be up there as one of the elite defenses in the league. It's just this game. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Wolves could nick a goal. But yeah, if you're on double Arsenal offense, I think you've probably got a good chance, to be fair, of a clean this week. And there's not really many other defenses you can rely on this season. So yeah, I think you're in good shape going into the next couple game weeks. Which Arsenal defender do you own, Rudy?
So I'm on Saliba now. So someone who I wanted at the beginning of the season. I mean, who I've always rated. And that's why I think I'm surprised that I didn't have him at the beginning of the season. I mean, I think we all want that, first initial perfect game week 1 team, and we look for the best fixtures, who's got the best run in the first 5 and things like that. So, it's quite easy to then be swayed away from certain teams. But one thing that we always learn is that the bigger teams or the better teams always show the consistency compared to the mid sides and the lower sides, relegation teams, that they're not really much of an option. But I think one thing that you did mention, which was the Champions League fixture for Arsenal, absolutely, smashed it against Lens. And we've not really seen Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard all play together much this season. So, I think that is a key factor. And I think that if you own Saka, you're probably keep him for now. He is fine to keep. Whether you're going to captain him is another question. But yeah, so moving on to Brentford, and probably one of the most transferred players in of the game week. While I say that, I'm just going to quickly have a look at the stats and see. And yes, Mr. Brian Mbeumo is the most transferred FPL player in, followed by Anthony Gordon and then Saka, who we've just talked about. But yeah, Thanesh, what do you think about this one? We talked about Brentford being good at home and Arsenal just managed to get in, just managing to get that win. Do you expect a comfortable Brentford win? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, you know how much I love Brian Mbeumo. I think this is the 3rd time I've now owned him this season. And spoiler, he is my transfer this week. So I'm really excited to have him back. He is the ultimate kind of player that you want at this time of year. He's going to play literally every minute of all these games over the Christmas period. You couldn't ask for any more. Penalties, set pieces, he's just such a good asset for his price. He's gone up to 7.1 now. Wow. I think he's playing like an 8 mil, 8.5 mil player right now. So this fixture, I'm very much hoping that he can do some damage in. I do like Luton, but yeah, hopefully this will be a nice Brian Mbeumo haul.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I mean, I think it's a strange one because he did really well at the beginning of the season. He kind of did have a bit of a dip where he was getting 2 points, and maybe one of those periods where you've been yo-yoing, taking him out, bringing Madison in, and so on. But I do really like him. He is a fantastic player. He's got all kinds of stuff in his locker. Can take penalties. Can shoot outside the box. So he is an exciting player. And with that being one of the biggest moves of the game week, people bringing him in. If he does blank, there's going to be a lot of disappointed FPL managers, including. So yeah, but him going up, Salah's gone up, Isak, Mbeumo, Doku, and Tsimikas again. So yeah, fair play. But moving on, I don't think we're going to talk about the Burnley Sheffield United game. I mean, there might be some Charlie Taylor and some Cameron Archer owners, potentially because of Watkins and Bowen being out. And I think when we come to our teams, we can probably touch on that a little bit. But that game, in terms of what it means to people, it's probably not much. But Nottingham Forest, Everton. We talked about Forest's home record being really good. Everton at the moment been hit with a 10-point deduction, struggled against Man United. Do we see them getting anything out of that game?
And you know what? I think that's going to be a really interesting game as well. I'm quite looking forward to watching that one. I think, like we said, Everton know that every game now they're fighting for their lives just to kind of make up for that 10-point deduction. So
yeah,
I'm actually very interested to see how that one plays out. I can maybe see like a 1-1 or something, but
yeah, I can definitely see Forest scoring. Whether Everton have got the ability to be able to.
Obviously, Forest have lost Awani now, so they've lost a real key figurehead of their attacking. Kiwi Ronaldo, Chris Withers, now having to step up. So we'll see how that one plays.
Ronaldo, I love that. Yeah. So on to the biggest game of today, really, I suppose, and that's Newcastle v Man United, 8:00 kickoff under the lights. I mean, you must be excited for that after beating Chelsea so comfortably. United obviously are on a bit of a run as well. It's a big clash, really, in terms of where you are in the league and so on, right?
It's a big game. This is a really big game. I think this will kind of define potentially where these two teams end up in the season, and we might look back and think, if whoever wins this game might be the one that nicks the other Champions League kind of spot. At home, I always back us to get a result, and our home form has just been impeccable this season. So I'm very confident going into this game. I think obviously the PSG result, that was a real blow, not to come away with the win. If we'd won that, I think the boys would have been really buzzing, and they've probably come out of that game quite deflated. But there were so many positives to take, considering, like we mentioned earlier, the injuries. I think the bench we had in that game, we had 2 goalkeepers, 3 academy players, and Lewis Hall. So we're really stretched right now. He didn't make any subs in the PSG game, so I think it's just going to be an unchanged lineup again. Doesn't sound like anyone's back for this game. So if you've got your Gordons, your Livramentos, your Trippiers, Isaks, like, roll with them again. We haven't really got anyone else. So minutes-wise, I think the boys are just going to have to go again, and let's see how we get on. I'm going to be positive and say we're going to get a 1 or 2-0 win here. How do you see this one playing out?
I mean, Newcastle, obviously really unfortunate in the PSG game. You are, when you look at that bench, as you say, down to the bare bones at the minute, and you could do without, no more injuries to your key players, your Isaks, your Gordons, any of your defenders, to be honest, just anyone. But that game hopefully will be a cracker. I think it will be. In my head, I'm thinking draw, but in my heart, I'm thinking, a Newcastle win. Obviously, I don't want United to win, so
I'd win, surely.
I think it'll be a tight game. I think Newcastle's game against PSG took a lot of energy, so it depends, how fit you are, where you're looking, or how you're sitting for this game. I think you'll still be up for it. It's at home, but I am thinking a 2-2. I am hoping it's.
I can see that.
I'm hoping it's more like a 2-1 or a 3-1 to Newcastle, but I just feel like it could be one of them games where it ends up being a draw.
Well, like we said, fatigue could be a big factor here, because he didn't make any subs, so every player played 98 minutes. But Man United also had to go away to Turkey to play Galatasaray a day later than we did, so they're having to travel again. Albeit they've got some players back now. Luke Shaw's back fit. I think that defense, definitely, they look a lot more solid. When we touched on the clean sheets, that Man United are kind of, they're finding some form. So definitely, I think, not a team to be underestimated right now. Garnacho's playing really well. Bruno's obviously scored an absolute banger in midweek. I don't know if you saw that, but
I'm not. No, I didn't see that. A free kick, right?
Brilliant goal, really good goal. So I think things are slow. Things are really starting to click for Man United. So it's going to be a tough game for sure. Like you said, probably the highlight of today's game. So I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, man, let's get that win.
Yeah, hopefully so. I'm rooting for you, mate. And on to Sunday's games. I mean, there's a lot of games due to European football midweek. So the likes of Villa, Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, all play on Sunday. So we've got pretty much basically 4 2 p.m. kickoffs now. I think obviously people aren't looking at the Villa game as much as some of the others, but Watkins is a doubt. Emery said that. It is looking like Matty Cash might not get played, which we can yet again probably look at when we look at our teams and so on for the weekend. But do we think Villa win that comfortably? I mean, I expect them to win it comfortably, but
I wouldn't say comfortably because I think Bournemouth have got a bit about them. I think there's going to be goals in this game. This one I can see as like a 3 or a 4-2 or something like that. I think both teams are more than capable of scoring goals, and they're both defensively not that great. So I think this could be goals galore. If you've got your Solankis, this could be a great kind of game for Solanke here. And a lot of people have sold Diaby this week. So who knows if Diaby's playing up front, if Watkins is out, we might live to regret that one. So it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a really good game. Like I said, I'll back a 4-2 here or something like that for Villa.
Wow. Yeah, lots of goals then predicted from yourself, TT. I mean, I think it'll be something along the lines of 3-1, 4-1 Villa. I think, Bournemouth might nick one. But I think just because Villa showed that they've got that that solidity and that kind of thing to see out a game against Spurs. I know luck did play a part in that with VAR and stuff and offsides, but the fact that they've got that 2-1 win, they've won in Europe this week as well. They're kind of getting that under their belt now, and we could see Villa win this game. And then, we don't expect much from them probably in the next two. They play City and so on. So, don't expect much from those games. But I think this one, they might just have enough. Chelsea-Brighton, this one screams goals again to me, just because Brighton concede this season. Chelsea they've looked really, really good 1 minute. You think you're right, they're going to go on a run, and then they'll get beat by a Brentford, or they'll get battered by you guys. I mean, what do we think of this game? I mean, and do you own any players from either of these sides or no?
Yeah, it's again, one you think there'll probably be goals. I do fancy Chelsea though at home at Stamford Bridge. Brighton obviously had that midweek game again on Thursday. I don't know if they played at home or away, but they got a positive result out of it. So I'm sure they'll be in good spirits coming to Chelsea. And this always feels like not a derby, but just because of the players that have kind of been transferred and Potter going and Caicedo and all this, that, and the other, like Cucurella, like I don't know. It always feels like a bit of a rivalry and a connection here. So I think it'll be a really good game. But I do think Chelsea can get the win, and who knows, we might see Nkunku back for the first time. He might get some minutes, which is really exciting. He's one I'm going to keep an eye on for sure with some good fixtures. I think Chelsea are coming into a good spell of fixtures. So Chelsea players, I'm very much keeping a close eye on to see who I want to pick up in the next few game weeks.
Yeah. It is an interesting game. I think that where Chelsea expect to be as a club in the league, obviously they're not meeting that expectation. And where Brighton were last season with the players they had, as you said, Caicedo and McAllister making moves and so on, they're not quite as strong, a lot of injuries. Chelsea as well with suspensions of Reece James, Gusto's out, so, anything could happen in this game. It could be any score, to be honest with you. So I think it might end up, playing out that way. Liverpool, Fulham. Liverpool at home. Next three fixtures are great for them. I think, as Salah owners and Darwin owners and so on, or maybe even Liverpool defenders. I know some people have gone Trent lately. Do we think that's a straightforward win for Liverpool, or do we think that Fulham have a sneaky chance with them beating Wolves 3-2?
Yeah, this is a really interesting game. Fulham don't strike me as a team that will get battered.
Yeah,
but Liverpool at home, it's just Liverpool are just brilliant at home, and Salah especially, his numbers are fantastic at home. He will be my captain this week, so I'm hoping he will deliver. And they've just come away from a Monday night result, conceding 2 goals for them. So I'm hoping there will be goals in this game, but it might not be the goal fest we necessarily expect. I'm kind of thinking like a solid 2-0 win for Liverpool. But how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, interesting. I think at home, much better. I think opening day, was it last season or season before? Was it where we drew 2-2 when they had Mitrovic?
With Mitrovic.
Yeah, we were a bit lucky to win that one, but I don't mind Fulham as a team, but I just think we will have too much for them. I think Palhinha might be back for this one, so that is a factor in terms of how a little bit more solid Fulham are.
Sure.
But I do expect us to be able to just to beat these about 3-0, potentially 4-0. But obviously, there's the absence of Alisson at the minute with that injury and Kelleher playing. Whether Fulham see that as a weakness, and they can.
What do you think about Watkins to Darwin move this week?
I think if you are going to do it, I think you do it now, just because if Watkins is out, he's not going to play. You get 3 great fixtures out of Darwin. Jota's out at the minute as well, so that's another factor. Gakpo is back, but you've only got Gakpo and kind of Diaz. But I feel like Klopp now has finally decided that Diaz, Darwin, and Salah are his front 3.
Yep.
So I think if you are going to go, it is a great week. You also get some money from that transfer as well, a good chunk of change. So I like that move. I really do. And if I didn't need to make other moves, I kind of would have looked at that, and it is something I was looking at next week. But I just don't think I'm going to go to Darwin. But it's a fantastic move if you can make it. TT, I would definitely recommend it. Yeah. Another plus side to that as well is that Salah and Núñez seem to be kind of clicking a little bit this season, and playing better. Yeah, playing a lot better. Yeah. But so West Ham Palace. It just gives a little bit of a.
I feel like I'm just being forced to watch this game just because it got picked for TV, but I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, of all the games to put on TV, I mean, Chelsea, Brighton surely was the standout, for those 2:00 games. But it is what it is, and if Bowen's not playing, West Ham probably not as much of a threat. Palace, surprisingly, this season have actually done quite well, clean sheet wise, and so on. So yeah, I really don't know. I just, for some reason in my head, I'm just going, it's 0-0. It's just 0-0.
I mean, it screams 0-0, 1-0, or 1-0 to
someone. 1-0. Yeah.
Obviously, the Eze injury is not great. Doesn't look good. I think Decore as well is out for the season for Palace. That's 2 big players that they've lost now.
Yeah.
But Elise coming back, he looked really good. Sorry, mate. I will have to just dip out for a second.
Yeah. Of course, no problem. Yeah. So I'll, going on from what Finesh was saying, basically, West Ham Palace, we don't probably expect much from that game. A lot of injuries Palace have experienced this season. They managed to get players back, but Eze's now out again. People who brought him in FPL probably feel a little bit unlucky with that move. But yeah, Decore huge for them as well. So yeah, West Ham through in Europe. Bowen might be out. Home advantage, you'd think they'd probably be able to get a 1-0, but as we said, it is a bit of a game that we don't.
Is this the week we finally get our Areola clean sheet? Maybe.
I mean, a 0-0 would be unbelievable. That's the ideal result. If you're playing Areola, and if you've
got your Guehi's and Andersons.
Yeah, Guehi, and you get a 0-0, then absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you're laughing. Yeah.
And on to the final game of the weekend, mate. Man City Spurs. I mean, we've said a lot of these games are going to be goal fests, and there's going to be goals here and there. This is one of them. We definitely expect that from.
I'm absolutely bricking this game. This could be any scoreline. Genuinely, if City came away with like 6-1 win, would anyone be surprised? Probably not. That's largely down to who Haaland is facing in defence. I mean, Emerson Royale and Ben Davies, that's a scary prospect if you don't own Haaland, which is the position we're both in right now. So,
well, I own Haaland. I own him.
Did you get back?
Yeah, no, I've never got rid of that.
Oh, you never got rid of him? Oh, okay, it's just me then. All right, well, yeah.
Yeah. It is scary. It is a scary thought, especially with all these suspensions and injuries that Spurs have got. The captain situation, which we'll talk about. I know you've already mentioned your captain Salah, but that's because you haven't got Haaland.
Exactly.
I'm in a bit more of a conundrum with who to captain because I own both. But yeah, we think it'll be an absolute stellar of a game. We've had City v Chelsea. We've had Spurs v Chelsea, which have been crazy games, cards, VAR decisions. So we probably expect more of the same from this one, right?
I think it's just the way Ange just likes to set up his team. He doesn't really look at the opposition and go, maybe I'll play a bit more defensive. He just has one way of playing, and I have a lot of respect for that. But at the same time, it's, this could be
It's a dangerous.
This is a very dangerous game, especially going to the Etihad with that kind of mindset. Yeah, you could be asking for real trouble here. So
yeah. Fair dues, right? Well, I think what I'll do is we'll look at our teams. I'm just going to go through a few of the questions quickly and see if anyone's got anything they want to ask or anything anyone's mentioned. I think I did see Cole mentioning or saying something about a -4. That could be the case for some people this game week anyway, whether they're bringing Haaland back in. But Colmer said he's taken a -4 this game week with Botman. He still had him. Bowen, I know how you feel, by the way, Colm. I owned a Stupinan until this week from the beginning of the season. Bowen and Watkins out for Saliba and Bumo and Isak. I decided to get a full playing squad with the quick turnaround in game weeks. So fair enough, right?
I think all those moves are brilliant. He's brought in 3 players that are pretty much going to play all these games over the next kind of spell of 3, 4, 5 game weeks that we've got coming up in a short period of time. And that's exactly what you want. I think all the transfers you should be looking at, you should be kind of targeting these real high X minutes players. Yeah, I think those are really good moves, Colin.
Yeah, fair play. Darwin and Salah, he said, red card. Oh God. But yeah, so I mean, in terms of our teams, have you got yours there, Dinesh?
Yeah.
So ready, we can share that.
Yes.
I'll get mine ready as well. And then we can just quickly have a look at those and just check what moves we've done, check what captain we're doing. So get yours up. I'll share it in a sec. Just while I'm waiting for that, I'll put my team up here. I'll make it pretty quick. And basically, I've gone with Areola. Probably going to get Payne again. No points or 1 point. Cash, Saliba, Tsimikas, and Mbumo, Bowen, Saka, Palmer, Salah, and Watkins, Haaland. The worry is obviously Bowen, Watkins. Have got Archer and I have got Gahey, which is what we were talking about Burnley, Sheffield before, that might come into play with people's teams and so on if these two don't play. Bowen and Watkins, Archer and Gahey come in. But yeah, Salah captain for me. And that's pretty much that. I mean, the team picks itself for me. It's just that with a couple of injuries and, the doubt of Cash maybe starting and stuff like that as well. Yeah, what do you think, TT? Do you think that's the right team that I've pretty much picked?
Yeah, I think the main question for you is the captaincy a bit of heart overhead vibe?
Yeah.
Is all I'll say.
Yeah. I brought Salah in last week, right? For the first time this season, brought him in. Even though it was the hardest fixture of the season so far, I thought, I'm going to captain him. It's against City. That probably definitely was heart overhead, 100%. But this week, I know that we expect Haaland to do what he normally does against Spurs, and with how broken Spurs are at the minute with their squad or with their first 11, then it just feels like it's crying out for a Haaland captain. But at home, Salah, he could get his 200th goal and so on. We're really good at home and stuff. I just feel like I don't want to overthink it, and I think
fair enough. I like it. I like the confidence because I'm on the same captain as you, so I'm glad you're feeling.
Yeah. So I mean that's the team this week, and I'm hoping Cash plays or starts. I'm hoping Bowen's back, and same with Watkins. And if they're not, I end up with Archer and Gahey. And if Palace do keep a clean sheet, that's amazing because I haven't got Bowen in the team then. And same with Archer against Burnley. Burnley aren't great defensively, and hopefully Archer finally gets something that we've hoped would come and never comes because it always happens when he's on our bench, you know. So
exactly.
It is what it is.
Are you looking at maybe a potential -4 if we get some news? I know there's some murmurs we might get some Watkins news pre-deadline.
Yeah, so the moves I made this week, actually, I've already taken the -4. As you know what I'm like.
Oh yeah, of course.
Been a bit, too hit happy, and I took the -4. I brought in Saliba for Stupinan, and I brought in Mbumo for Matoma. So,
which are 2 really good moves. So yeah, I completely understand. So yeah, let's kind of wait and see if we get anything. And like you said, you've got some decent players this week that you wouldn't mind playing off the bench anyway.
Yeah. What in terms of your team, mate? Have you brought it up?
Yeah. Or? So do I just get this up? Do I present?
Yeah, that's the one, bud. Jack says, lads, I've brought in
tiramisu
for an Arsenal double up at the back. And we were talking about this actually with a few of the guys in an FPL chat. We were saying about Tomiyasu and the Ben White situation, and do we think that Tomiyasu is now more nailed and stuff like that? And the consensus is kind of that Tommy's got his spot now, but we just don't know because Arteta doesn't really give much away. And if Ben White's fit, he could quite easily come back in. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, that. But what do you think of the move? Do you like it? Do you think there was better moves out there?
I mean, like we touched on, Arsenal defense is just a great defense to back at this point in time. There's obviously always a threat of Ben White, but Tomiyasu is playing really well at the moment. I'm not sure what his price is. I'll be very intrigued to find out what his price is, but
yeah, Tomiyasu. Let's have a look. Let's have a quick check.
But yeah, I think he's a good pick. And like we said, Arsenal have got some good fixtures coming up. So
yeah, 4.5 currently.
4.5. I mean, you can't go wrong, can you? He's getting some good positions as well. He was overlapping Saka a lot in the Lens game. He was given some free license to kind of just to do his thing. So that's not a bad move.
Yeah, right, bud. You managed to put your team in? I don't.
Yeah, let's do a little screen share.
Let me remove that.
Right.
There we go.
How's that worked?
There we go. It has worked nicely, my friend.
So, like I said, won't bore our poor listeners too much, but I think we've got very similar teams, really. Just kind of looking at our structure. So we've obviously got the Watkins Bowen issues. So what I'm thinking is, if I just scroll down slightly, is Trippier. Obviously, I think the defense is fine. I'm obviously going with Salah captain. I don't have Haaland, but I think if I did have Haaland this week, I would probably favour him as my captain.
Yeah.
And I will potentially look at a -4. So my move this week was DRB to Mbumo, and I'm really happy with that move. Obviously, if I knew these injuries would kind of play out, I might not have gone early for that. I might have reconsidered. But I really wanted Mbumo this week. I think that Luton game is a brilliant fixture, and there's a real chance he could haul in that one. You can't quite see my bench, but I've got Archer, Cash, and Bell as my bench option. So I'm kind of just thinking, I don't know, Watkins, I really think he's just going to play. I think the kind of comments Emery made says to me that, he didn't want to just risk him in the Europa League for no reason, and he'd want to play him every game. If possible. So I'm quite hopeful that Watkins will just be fine. And hopefully we kind of get some indication pre-deadline that he is all right. But if Bowen is out, I may look to move early for a player that I would want in the future to kind of facilitate Haaland back. So I'm looking at either Palmer, Hwang, or Gordon. And I'm probably might land on Gordon, I think, this week if I do a -4. Just with some really good fixtures for Newcastle coming up. Maybe we can just quickly have a look at this. So obviously we've got United this week, but then we've got Everton, Spurs, which will be a tricky game, but they've obviously still got a bit of a makeshift defence. But then Fulham, Luton and Forest in the next few as well looks great. So Anthony Gordon smashing it. So yeah, I think I might look at -4 for Gordon, but otherwise, yeah, this will be the team. Salah captain, obviously, and fingers crossed he can do something this week. Yeah, that's the team.
Nice. Some good moves there if you make them. I don't mind that at all. I think obviously Gordon's been really good this season anyway, or recently, and I think that against United, I think he could be in with another good game. He seems to strive at home. And I think, as I say, these moves that we're going to make, if you're going to take a -4 and stuff like that as well, is obviously based on whether we know whether Watkins or a Bowen, are out and stuff. But it's really difficult at the minute because with the deadline being today and Villa not playing until tomorrow, it is a bit tricky. So obviously hope you go well on that one, mate. I mean, we're in the same mini league together.
We're in the same boat, mate.
You don't go well, then I might benefit from it. But it's all good and well. But yeah, so there are teams for this week. That's how we basically are set up and so on. So what I will do before we wrap up is, if I can find it, there we go. Okay, so it is something that I think Mikey maybe mentioned it on the last pod. I'm not quite sure. I'll just see if I can. Where's it gone? Trying to find this thing. There it is. Okay, so yeah, that is basically it's the EPL Live app by Sportsmate. So if you've not downloaded this, I use it a little bit amongst other obviously apps that you can get. There's so many out there that you can, check scores, check tables and things like that. But it's basically a Premier League app by Sportsmate. It's built by football fans for football fans. It combines live scores with the most in-depth team and player stats, alongside all the latest breaking football news and video highlights as well. The link to download is in the caption below on our link tree. So you can just see that at the bottom there. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that. Obviously, another great game week to look forward to. Hopefully some great football first and foremost, but in FPL wise, we're hoping we go a lot better than maybe last week, right?
I know. I'm kind of already primed for a red arrow. I know I sound super negative, but just not having Haaland this week is, I'm going to need a big sofa, I think, for that one.
Yeah. It is something that potentially this week people without him are gonna hope that he blanks, and if he does, absolutely fantastic. You've got away one, and I think earlier on in the season when people were going against Haaland and they were getting Salah, they did really well from it. To be honest, a lot better than what people expected. But yeah, basically jump in the link tree caption below to find out how to get involved in our leagues and community. Thank you so much for tuning in to the guys that have. All the regular guys. I know they've probably had a few other listeners in here as well, which is great. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. And yeah, hope everybody goes well this game week. Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers, guys.